Hey everybody, it's me, Cassidy, again. So, I got to go to the 2010 Olympics Opening Ceremonies dress rehearsal, which was really cool, for two reasons. One, I got to see it before you did, and two, I got to go to Vancouver. On reason number one, it was amazing. Obviously, we had to keep it on the DL. We couldn't be like, hey, guess what happened in the opening ceremonies? Everybody wants to know. Because everybody did want to know. But we couldn't tell them because then it wouldn't be very much fun for them to watch it 2 days later if they already knew what happened. Right? Yeah, right. I think my favorite part of the opening ceremonies was the beginning. And if you've seen it, you would know that they showed this beautiful video of this snowboarder snowboarding down Whistler Mountain. When I saw this at the dress rehearsal, I literally had goosebumps. My whole body had chills. And if you didn't know, that was me in the video. Snowboarding? Yeah. So this guy, or me, snowboards down this entire mountain, and then all of a sudden, the screen goes dark, and he jumps on his snowboard through what looks like real snow, through the Olympic rings, lands on this hill, snowboards down into the center of BC Place. Everyone went crazy. I was about to cry. It was so beautiful. Oh man, it was just probably one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. And the whole opening ceremony dress rehearsal was amazing. There were no technical difficulties, unlike during the actual opening ceremonies. And it was just amazing to see the beginning of the actual 2010 Olympic Winter Games, even though they hadn't actually officially started. But I wore my Canada hat. I decked myself out in all white because you're supposed to wear white to the opening ceremonies, in case you didn't know. Because then they can project pictures on the entire audience. So it looks like everybody in the audience is a Canada flag, or everybody in the audience is a huge person's face or something like that. I don't know. It's crazy. But yeah, the entire dress rehearsal was amazing, and it was even more amazing to know that most people in the world were not there. Obviously, there were thousands of volunteers who were there because they let us go for free. But everybody else in the world could not get in because it was for special VIPs. Or VIVs. That's very important, volunteers. Now, on to reason two. I got to go to Vancouver. The Olympics are called the Vancouver 2010 Olympic Winter Games. So obviously it is very necessary for anyone who loves this Olympics, like me, to be able to go to Vancouver and check it out. So the whole day before the opening ceremony dress rehearsal, I got to walk around Vancouver, see all the huge Canadian flags on all the buildings, all the pictures of the mascots for the Olympics on every building. I also got to go into the giant Bay Olympic Superstore. And I mean, I've done a lot of shopping in my life, and I don't think I've ever been so overwhelmed. There were so many people. People were fighting for red mittens. People were fighting for sizes of all the clothes. But that is where I bought my 2010 Olympics white sweatshirt, which I wore to the opening ceremonies. Remember, you're supposed to wear white. In the middle of downtown Vancouver, they also had a bunch of visual artwork. I also got to go to Sleep Country, the official supplier of sleep for the 2010 Olympic Winter Games. I wish I could be the official supplier of sleep. But yeah, downtown Vancouver was amazing. It was just really cool to be able to see the difference between how the Olympics is being played out in Vancouver and how it's being played out in Whistler. But then I returned back to the wonderful, beautiful Whistler, BC. And on Friday, the opening ceremonies, which took place in Vancouver, remember, were broadcast on huge screens in the middle of Whistler Village. And I got to go and watch it.
Right now I'm standing in the middle of Whistler Village where behind me, as you can see, the Olympics opening ceremonies are being broadcast live. There are tons of people around watching it. I actually just got to walk through hundreds of people in the parade with the Canadian athletes. Kind of ended up there by accident, but it was really cool. I got to see most of the Whistler Canadian athletes that will be competing here in Whistler in the next few weeks. Go up on stage and introduce themselves to everyone, and then everyone sang a beautiful round of Oh Canada. So the Olympics have officially begun here in Whistler, and it's really exciting to be here.
Whistler Village was going crazy during the opening ceremonies. I thought that since I was in Whistler during the opening ceremonies, there wouldn't really be much going on. But boy, was I wrong. I actually ended up walking into the village right into the middle of the parade of all of the Canadian athletes for the Olympics in Whistler, all through the village. All of a sudden, I looked ahead of me and I was like, where are all these people going? And I realized a second later that they all had Team Canada gear on and that they were all headed in a certain direction and that there were people on either side of all of us watching like we were in a parade or something. And then I realized, oh, it is a parade. So I kept walking behind the Canadian athletes, and all of a sudden, this gate closed behind me, and I turned to my dad and I said, Dad, we're stuck in here with the athletes. This is so cool. And then I think the security lady heard me because she said, excuse me, ma'am, if you are not an athlete, you need to get out of the gate. Darn. So we had to get out of the gate and stand on the two sides of the parade like a regular person. And then we watched as all of the Whistler Canadian athletes for this Olympics headed up on the stage, introduced themselves. It was really cool to think that I almost got to go up on the stage with them if that lady hadn't kicked me out of the gate. But yeah, there were so many people in Whistler Village when they were playing the opening ceremonies on these huge screens for Whistler Live. And everyone was cheering, everyone was so excited, everyone was just so excited that it was actually time for the Olympics to begin. Woo! Olympics beginning 2010, Vancouver and Whistler. Yeah!